Hello and welcome to day 4 of beIN Sports live coverage of the Tour de Romandie. It's the 67th edition of the Swiss race and the 14th of 29 stops on the UCI World Tour. I'm Andres Cordero, and beIN Sport is proud to bring you exclusive coverage from the French-speaking region of Switzerland. After 374 kilometers, 232 miles from Les Chablais at the start of Tuesday's prologue to Grange at the end of yesterday's stage 2, the riders in for a bit of a loop on day 4. 3 loops, in fact. Today's stage, the only one of the 6-day race that starts and ends in the same place, the town of Payerne on the banks of Lake Neuchâtel. It's a 181-kilometer, 113-mile event that includes 4 categorized climbs, the most important of which comes inside of the final 20 kilometers. There has been no change in the general classification from day 1. Team Sky rider Chris Froome is in the yellow jersey for the 3rd consecutive day, while American Andrew Talansky has remained in 2nd place, 6 seconds back of Team Garmin Sharp. We now join the race in progress from Switzerland.
Following a brief trip to the German-speaking part of Switzerland, the Tour de Romandie today returns to its French-language home. Stage 3, the final moment of calm before the GC battle begins at the weekend. Well, a stage which theoretically should have ended in a bunch sprint could give rise to possibilities of anything happening today, with a profile taking the peloton up and down all afternoon long. Today's stage beginning and ending in Payerne, the town where the race director Richard Sachel was born, with a course 181 kilometers long, taking the race out and around 3 loops of this town. So as you can see, 41.7 kilometers. There has been an early breakaway, one that lasted for the majority of the day, but which came back together around 5 or 6 minutes ago. You're seeing action live at the minute as they head up to the first of 2 remaining 3rd category climbs. This into Sassel, and you can see straight away that it's Gorkait Bravo who's heading for the points. Sky have been chasing this 2nd attempt at a breakaway because the man in it, Eric Federigo, was only 40-odd seconds away. That all came together just about then, but it's good work from Euskaltel Euskadi. They're going to make sure that these points are mocked up. And a man who hasn't had a chance to pick up King of the Mountain points yet today, Bravo, makes sure that he adds to his total and stays at the top of the leaderboard. Big day tomorrow, coming in the King of the Mountains jersey. We'll get a look at all the sums and mathematics as the afternoon goes on. Bravo still has work to do to keep the jersey, we're being informed. You can see 12 minutes, 50 seconds behind on GC. Lost a bit of time purposefully yesterday, took his time, got a bit of force back, and I'm sure now that they're going to be thinking of trying to get on the last remaining 3rd category climb of the day. Remember, there will be 5 more points to add to that. So 40.4 kilometers to go. Plenty to come this afternoon. Earlier on in the break, we had Marcus Burkhardt, Stefan Kreiswijk, Julian Berard, Peyo Bilbao, Matti Grendel, who's picked up more points for his green sprint jersey and will stay in that jersey tomorrow. Almost won the competition, just 1 winning sprint away from that. We'll see if he can do that on tomorrow's Mountain stage. And Kevin Reza, the Frenchman who's been riding so well for Europcar recently. All of that coming together, though, around 5 kilometers back. And this is the situation at the minute. Expect attacks as we come along. The weather, as you can see, hasn't quite played ball as it has done all week. We had a sunny start of the day, and this is how the day started. We left Payerne, first of 3 loops going along the Lac de Morat, just along the shores of Lac Neuchâtel, again very much firmly in French-speaking territory, before the real action started. The first climb of the day, 2nd category up to 811 meters through Romandie, Luçon, and then Villars-le-Comte at 759 meters. Both of those 2nd category climbs. The feeding station and the first intermediate sprint of the day at Est-Vaillard-le-Lac, which was won by Matthias Brendel. This is where we are though now. Third and final loop of the day, which has a sort of a look of a classics day, up and down all day long. Many more climbs that aren't categorised. We've just been through Sassel, now on the way to the intermediate sprint, again on the shores of Lac Neuchâtel, and this final third category climb with a small section at 15%, not too simple. However, there are plenty of possibilities for either breakaway or sprint. Depends who desires it the most and by how much. Here's a profile of the day. I said it was up and down, and I wasn't telling fibs. There we go. Payerne, the start and end of today's third stage on the road. 17 to 19 degrees. Actually a little warmer than that today, just above 20 degrees. But we filled in with rain. We had a slight bit of drop of rain overnight. At the moment out there on the course, it is raining. And Christopher Froome still leads the race. He leads by 6 seconds ahead of Andrew Talansky, Robert Kieselowski in third place, Richie Porte and Rui Costa making up the top 5. As far as the jerseys are concerned, Froome already still in yellow, Brendel in green, and he will be tomorrow. Kenny Coins-Bravo still has work to do with Thibaut Pinot bossing the white jersey competition, but he has men creeping up behind. So, a very good afternoon to you, wherever you're watching. Tour de Romandie, the 67th edition of the race. Stage 3 from Payerne to Payerne, 181 kilometres. Fifth arrival in this town, and the reason we're here is that Richard Chassot, the race director, was born in this very town. He's been desperate to try and put somebody and a stage into this town for quite a while. New divot break already developing, and as we can see, an interesting development. Richie Porte is in there alongside Enrico Gasparotto. We shall see if it settles or not. And to tell us a bit more about how the afternoon might play out, good afternoon, Brian Smith. Brian, can any of these attacks go the full distance today, or are we looking at a brunch sprint?
For me, we actually drove the last part of the course earlier on this morning, and a lot of people got a bit of a shock yesterday. I had a quick word with Chris Froome after the finish, and I just asked him, was that a more difficult third category climb than you expected? And the answer was definitely yes. So there's a lot of teams taking heart from that, and you know, again, we've just been up a third category climb, and Bravo taking the maximum points there, which puts him second in that competition, although he is the leader, because earlier on today we had a breakaway of 6 riders where Marcus Burkhardt took honours in the first 2 second category climbs, so he's climbed to 22 points with Bravo 21. I'm thinking we're going to see plenty of attacking, because this is the last opportunity for a lot of these teams to win, because it's a mountain stage tomorrow and a time trial on Sunday. So it's going to be great racing all the way in towards the finish, but I'm suspecting a bunch finish.
Well, new breakaway developing. We're waiting to have a list of full names, or at least a good look at it, so we can give you those names. One big name we already saw, Richie Porte, 15 seconds, pardon me, off the lead of Chris Froome. Sky, of course, can afford to let this one go because Porte's in it, and it perhaps takes a little bit of the pressure off here, not having to chase.
Well, they seem to be letting it go for the moment in time. I don't think they'll want it to gain too much time. It will force other teams, like Radio Shack coming towards the front for Kieselowski. It will mean that the riders sit in the second, third, fourth. Sky could possibly just take off put the brake on slightly. But yeah, with one rider in the breakaway, they can have that advantage. But yeah, it's up to the other teams now to bring this back. 19 seconds with 36.6 kilometres to go to the finish.
Well, we saw Froome and Porte working together in perfect harmony in the Critérium International until the final day. We knew that they were in charge, the team, but we didn't know who was going to win the race. Same sort of tactics could be being employed here before what we see will happen tomorrow. Here we go with Vincent Soleil and a Megaformer Quick-Step trying to do some chasing here. A Megaformer Quick-Step interested in today's stage for most probably either Mark Cavendish, if he can get over the final climb and stay in the group, or Johnny Meersman. You mentioned Robert Kieselowski. He's the third wheel of that Radio Shack Leopard team, being escorted by Thomas Roriger there. Astana have already had options of Enrico Gasparotto in this race. He came second yesterday. It was an interesting sprint yesterday, the stage won by Navadauskas. Big guy. We saw him at the sign-in this morning, and it was a race that was ending up in a messy sprint in the end, really. One that didn't have too much control by anybody. Johnny Meersman not managing to fulfill the many predictions that were in his favour. He was sort of boxed in with 700-800 metres to go, coming third in the end. But Gasparotto was supposed to be the lead-out man for Gavazzi. Here he is in this break again. And a break that also contains Adriano Malori. Gasparotto is there. We can see Steph Clement as well. Française des Jeux also had presence with Pierrick Federico, Evgeny Petrov, and of course Française de Greef, along with Jürgen van der Walle, was present as well. Another interesting development in this group, Pierre Roland. Gasparotto's been riding well this week. We've had a chat with him on a couple of stages. There is Evgeny Petrov of Saxo Tinkoff. He's a man who's won up and down stages in his career. Certainly thinking back to the one in L'Aquila in the Giro d'Italia a few years ago, the big crazy stage in which there's hardly enough the man in front of him. Richie Porte ended up wearing the pink jersey on his very first Giro, and in Saxo Bank colours himself. Petrov was then a Katusha rider. Porte here with 24 seconds on his teammate Chris Froome. 15 is of course the gap on the general classification. This is the back of the main group as a few rain capes start to come out now. There's around a 30% chance of rain forecast overnight. There's Matty Brendel, who's being helped, or helping one of the Argos riders to put on his team cape. In fact, we saw at the start of the day quite a few of the riders reaching back for those capes. There's Mark Cavendish, still in the main group for the minute, but a man who, if he manages to stay at the back of that group, might be able to get over the final hill. In fact, some of the team cars coming back, pardon me, suggest that he's not in the main group. Apologies. This is a very early autobus or gruppetto developing. So in fact, Cavendish, we can perhaps count him out already, Brian.
Looking at this situation at the moment, Cavendish, this is the second main group in the road. We have a group of 9 riders in the front of the race, a group of 3 trying to come across to them, the main peloton, and now we've got an attack from one of the Radio Shack riders trying to come across.
That's Nelson Oliveira, Portuguese rider of Radio Shack. Interested that they wanted to put a man in there. Of course, they were guarding things for Kieselowski. So important with Kieselowski third in the general classification that they tried to bridge a gap. Now Movistar are trying to add a rider, as are Astana, Orica Green Edge and Lampre as well. All of the big teams not wanting to miss this break, Brian.
Well, it's either get on the front and chase and bring it back together, or you know, it looks as if when we've been looking for Mark Cavendish, it does look as if it's all come back together. Sky taking control of the front of the race, so the group of 9 and the group of 3 in between have all been brought back, and we've got a new attack with Pierre Roland there, Oliveira on the far side for Radio Shack. It looks like Brakovic for Astana just starting to go on the attack, followed by one of the riders from Orica Green Edge, but it's Sky actually shut it down, so it's all back together at the front of the race with a second peloton probably about a minute behind, including the Cavendish and the early breakaway today.
So Cavendish behind, as is Matt Goss, we're hearing as well. We can also tell you that one of the other sprinters, Adam Blythe, actually climbed off his bike a little early on today. Danny Moreno of Katusha joined Adam Blythe, who wasn't feeling too good. I know that he was speaking to you, Brian, at the start, saying he had a bit of a sore throat and wanted to look after his health ahead of the Giro d'Italia, which is going to ride. So Blythe gone, Moreno gone, as has Wout Poels of Vacansoleil. This is where it all snakes around on the way down. Opportunities for attacks all the way. And the fact that Janez Brajkovic was in that last attempt meant that the race